this here is the Molotow Dripstick 860 DS, and it's about time we took a proper look at this in a review and surface tagging test to see what it's all about. After all, with the 50 plus graffiti reviews we have here on the channel, we wouldn't want this little dripstick to feel left out, now would we? So as always, I'm going to be doing a full surface tagging test on a smooth painted surface with this Molotow Dripstick to see how it performs, looks, and feels. But first, I'm going to be telling you all the most important info that the graffiti artist and writer is going to want to know about this here Molotow Dripstick. And at the end, I'll be telling you straight up what I think of Molotow and their paint markers and mops specifically. If there's one thing you guys know about these reviews, it's that you can count on me to keep them 100% honest and unbiased, and this one will of course be no different. Firstly here, this Molotow Dripstick is the 10mm nib, 70ml body Molotow Dripstick. You can get ones that are also a huge 25mm nib and 100ml reservoir. I was actually able to find a 10mm size nib with just a 30ml body size, as well as actually an 18mm size nib with a 50ml reservoir. But the only place I could find those two sizes in particular were Amazon. So I don't know if that's like old stock that some distributor still has from when they were still making those sizes, but I will put a link in the description to where you can buy each and every size of the Molotow Dripstick that I could find for you guys. And if you guys do end up thinking at the end of this review that these are worth trying out for yourself and you do buy from the links I have, it does help to support the channel a little bit, which I appreciate immensely. These Molotow Dripsticks come pre-filled with one of 12 colors, and I'll tell you a bit later more specifically what I think about the Molotow colors. This empty one is nice because I can show you exactly what's going on with it here. You can tell the plastic they use is a little bit higher quality than other plastics. That's sort of nice in my opinion. It is actually branded right here as well. The nib is a nice normal nib. It's what you're gonna get on a standard mop. It's actually a fairly rigid body, which is surprising, but that will loosen up a tad when we start to use it. But the main feature that sets these mops apart that I have to mention from other graffiti mop sort of competitors is the hit it from the backable refill system, as Green Ranger would say, where you can just unscrew the bottom and refill it that way. But I do have to say it's a little bit alarming to me that it only takes an entire 1.5 turns to completely screw this in or unscrew it. Although that being said, I've never actually had a problem with these caps coming off or coming loose or anything on my mini Molotow Dripstick here. But here's the real kicker to me. Why are these Molotow mops so expensive? And why are all the Molotow products so much more expensive than others? I understand about their spray paint, but the mops I'm not totally convinced have that extra value yet. Maybe they'll prove me wrong when we do our surface tagging test in a minute, but for now I just don't really see what the reasoning is for them to be so much more expensive than some other brands. The empty mop itself costs at least 10% more than other main graffiti mop brands, and they cost between $3 and $5 US more than other reputable graffiti brands mops do of similar size and quality. And I would probably argue that the minor increase in convenience you get from the refillable from the back system isn't quite worth that extra 10% maybe, especially when you're just getting a standard nib on this. You're gonna have to replace this just as often as you would have to replace a nib on most other brands of graffiti mop as well, and that's where the real money spend really comes in. But let's see if the mop performance proves me wrong, and head over to our surface testing area and do an actual proper tagging test on a smooth surface. Okay, welcome to the testing area, everyone, and if this is your first time joining us, here where all the magic happens, an extra welcome to you. If you do find this review helpful or informative, maybe consider subscribing. So to really test the capabilities of this mop out, I'll be most prominently commenting on 3 aspects in particular. The first of those, number 1, being the paint formula vibrancy. As a graffiti artist, a graffiti writer, you want nice, vibrant paint formulas, of course. The second thing is what we like to call the drippability here on the channel, which really just means the viscosity of the paint formula and how permanent it is. Some graffiti writers, myself included, enjoy sort of a thicker viscous paint formula, and then others, of course, enjoy the drippability of a more runny formula that produces those nice drippy tags that we all love the look of as well. And actually, that's an interesting question. Maybe leave in the comments which side of that you're on. Do you like the thicker paint formulas, or do you like the more drippy stuff. But thirdly, I'd like to give you guys my commentary on what it actually feels like to write with this mop, if it's nice and comfy on the fingers, if the nib is standing up to taking a bit of a beating. And at the end, stick around because I'm going to tell you something sort of important about the Molotow paint formula that I think you guys should know from using it in my experience at least. And of course at the end as well, I'll tell you how I would evaluate this mop to decide if it's one that you think you should be adding to your repertoire or not. So let's get right into it now. I'm going to start on this painted surface. I'll be tagging some subscribers' names up who have asked me for hit off specifically. I'd like to say thanks to the community for the support and give back a little bit that way. So let's get to it. All right, let's juice this up right away. Someone from the Acid crew in Greece asked me for a hit off. Let's get them up here. This is nice to write on with the smooth surface. Right away, I am finding that it's a little bit tough, the body of the marker. Obviously, I didn't squeeze particularly hard there, not getting a ton of drips because of that, but at the same time, I feel like squeezing a little bit harder is actually gonna be a little bit difficult to do. Pongo asked for a hit off. Let's get him up here as well. Shout out to Pongo over in Florida there. I'm gonna give you a nice shot of this mop nib actually because it looks super nice when it's all juicy like this. So I do have to be honest, the first thing I'm noticing here using this particular Molotow paint formula is the vibrancy. It's okay, it's not perfect though. I'm not talking about the streaking. The streaking is entirely just me not squeezing particularly hard on the mop. That's not any fault of the product whatsoever. That's just me, and because I filled this mop with about, I'd say 20 milliliters of paint. That being said, the viscosity of the paint itself is actually quite drippy. When I can make lines this streaky without squeezing almost at all and still get the occasional drip here and there, that's how you sort of know that it's a very drippy formula. And trust me, it really is. On a couple of the tags I squeeze a little bit harder even with limited paint supply, and you could get drips right away on command. So this is a very runny sort of formula, great for the drips, also not so bad if you just want a couple drips here and there. I'd say it's nearly impossible to not get any drips though if you're using this, but that's what this type of mop is really for, so you should expect that. So what I'm going to do now, just to finish this off, is I'm going to try and do a few tags that are particularly drippy to show you what this can really do. Speaking of not squeezing the mop particularly hard, I do have to say that frankly one of the reasons I wasn't is just because the marker body is actually really hard. Again, a part of that is because of the limited paint supply in the reservoir that I put in, but I swear to God, part of it is that this mop is just incredibly tough. A more rigid mop means you have a bit less controllability, which isn't ideal, and to me there's just no reason to not make something a little more controllable if you can. So with this Boper and the Kezer tag, you can tell I really tried to get the drips there, and the drips came fairly easily. Again, you are working with a very runny formula. Some people like that, some people don't. I find if you have good control, the more runny formulas are nicer to work with, but the mop design itself, I'm feeling isn't very conducive to the runnier formula that they have, which is funny because this is called a dripstick. You would think it would be fairly easy to get drips with it, but it's more just the formula itself that allows the drip ability rather than the actual mop itself. So sort of ironic there a little bit. So you can see with the Boper and the Kezer tag that they're both a little bit more vibrant than a lot of the other ones, and I think that simply comes down to if you don't put a very thick layer of this paint down, it's actually having some opacity issues, which isn't super impressive to be honest, especially when you're paying for like a premium formula. So to be honest, that's quite disappointing to me when you're paying a premium price and you're getting something a little bit substandard in any regard, so not ideal there. So I want to tell you something important about the paint formula in these Molotow Dripsticks, specifically about how it compares to other paint formulas on the graffiti market. It's one thing for me to point out the opacity or lack thereof in a couple of these tags while I'm doing the tags with them, but one thing I do want to say is I've done tests with this paint formula in particular in a couple other videos. I did a metalhead comparison where it gives you a very good view of the differences in vibrancy and opacity actually of a lot of the highest quality paints on the graffiti market. I would really recommend checking that out if you want to see more specifically about how the paint formula in this mop compares to others on the market. And let me remind you, the Molotow Dripsticks do come pre-filled with this paint formula, and the red is supposed to be one of the staple colors. It should be one that's nice, opaque, and vibrant. So check that out in the top right hand corner if you want to. But personally for me, one of the main reasons I never buy Molotow, their permanent paint refills, is just simply because their paint to me seems dull. I've also found it has a little bit bit of a hard time flowing through some nibs, especially chisel tip nibs, especially the One For All marker nibs. You really have to mix their paint well for it to work effectively. So how do you know if this mop is for you? Well, first and foremost, I do want to emphasize this mop is not cheap. It's well put together, it's well made, and it does have this nice refill from the back feature. If you are a particularly price conscious graffiti writer, which most of us probably are, then this mop might not be the one for you. But with regards to the actual physical mop body, a lot of the time it comes down to personal preference, and it might be worth picking up an empty version specifically to try out for yourself, because you can refill it with whatever you want. And if you're not keen to use this particular paint formula, the empty version might be a nice cheap way to try it out and see if it's something you want to continue using as your maybe go-to mop. But of course, I do want to emphasize that's just my humble opinion. I know there are plenty of strong Molotow advocates out there, and if you are one of those advocates, or if you're on the other side and you're not too much of a fan of this marker Molotow paint formulas in general, one way or the other, hey, please leave your opinion in the comments and help the rest of the graffiti community out by maybe presenting an opinion from a viewpoint that I am not presenting. And I never mind having people disagree with me. Like I said, a lot of this type of thing comes down to personal preference. Furthermore, if anyone has used the Molotow Dripstick 860DS in particular, definitely feel free to leave your opinion on it in the comments and help everyone else out. The more knowledge we can share within our graffiti community, the better off we all are. I have over 50 other reviews of graffiti related products on my YouTube channel and almost 300 graffiti related videos in general. You can check some of the best ones out on screen now. I hope I'll see you over there in one of those. Until my next one, peace.